Hey guys, it's James Ballard from wildwings.co.uk and welcome to the first beginner section tutorial, which is the pre-flight and the post-flight safety checks. So this is really just to give you an idea of the things you need to check for in order to be a really safe flyer. And you're also going to have to look at your flying club rules and regulations and see what they also require you to do. So the first thing I'm going to go through is just a quick checklist of things to think about before you actually go to your flying site. So while you're packing your plane, you need to make sure you have preferably some spares, so spare propellers and spare bolts. And if you're using elastic bands to put your wing onto your trainer model, then you're going to want some spare elastic bands as well. So make sure you've got spares. If you've got any super glue, that could be handy as well in case of any small crashes. And then you need to think about wing bolts, if you're using wing bolts, or say if you're just using elastic bands, remember the elastic bands, and then any fuel, pumps, batteries, and to really make sure you have everything with you. This isn't really a safety check, this is just to save you the annoyance of getting to your flying site and realise you've got there and you don't have any fuel. Okay, also make sure your receiver batteries are charged. This is a safety check, because if your receiver batteries are not charged, then you could cause serious harm. So once you've done these checks and you've made sure that you've got everything ready to take to the flying site, head over to the flying site and I'm about to give you some more information from there. Okay, so you've just got to your flying site. The first thing you want to do is head over to the pegboard system like this one. Have your transmitter ready but still turned off and your safety peg. Check for the frequencies for your frequency. I'm using 2.4 GHz, but if you're using a crystal, you need to look for your crystal frequency on the board. If your slot is free, you may put your peg on the board and head over to the pits area. If you're using 2.4 GHz, as many people are allowed to put their peg on that part of the board as they like. You can have as many users as you like. But if you're using a crystal, then you're only allowed one user, and there can be only one person with that frequency at any one time. So because I'm 2.4 and there's no one here anyway, I can put my peg on the board. Now I can head over to the pits area where I'm allowed to turn my transmitter on. Okay, so you've just got to the field and you found a nice safety bench to put the model. So what safety checks are you going to want to perform? First of all, you need to look for any major damage in the propeller. If the propeller seems okay, make sure that it's attached securely and that the spinner is also attached securely. The next thing you want to do is check that the wheels are firmly attached to the undercarriage, which is also firmly attached to the underside of the plane. In terms of safety checks, what we're looking for is any major damage in the plane. First of all, start by looking for major damage in the wing. If there's no crushes or dents, then you're good to fly. So check both sides of the wings, and the next thing you want to check is the servos and control linkages. So you want to gently just move the control linkages back and forth and make sure that the surfaces work correctly. If you're happy that it's working okay, then you can move on to the next surface. You want to check over all the main parts of the plane, the elevator, the rudder and the wing especially. So you're looking for any major damage, you're looking for anything that might be loose, and especially you're checking the servo linkages, the control horns, and just making sure they're all attached securely. One major part with the wing is you've got to make sure that the wing bolts are done up firmly and securely. So just give them an extra tighten and make sure that that wing is firmly attached. So when you check in the rear of the aircraft, you make sure there's no obvious damage to the tailplane or the rudder or the elevators. Give the control horns a look over as well as the servos, and make sure that all the linkages are secure. Give it a rattle and just pull it and make sure it goes okay, but remember to be very gentle, especially with the servos. Does the rudder move okay? And the elevator? Fantastic. Also remember to check for the rear wheel, make sure that that's on securely. and when you're happy with that, return to the main section of the aircraft. So one thing you've got to notice with this model is that it has wing bolts attaching the wing to the plane. But not all beginner models have this, and some will have elastic bands instead. So when you put the elastic bands on the model, you want to make sure that you put them diagonally from left to right, from one side to the other side of the wing. And again, from the back, from the left side to the right side, so always going across. Once you've done this, you also want to put elastic bands from the back to the front on the same side. And then again, the same thing on the other side of the wing, from the back to the front. Once you've put on about 3 to 4 elastic bands, the safety check is to try and lift up the front of the wing. If you can lift the front of the wing all the way up, it's not tight enough and you need more elastic bands. If you find it difficult to lift the front of the wing up at all, that's probably just the right tightness and you're ready to fly. Okay, so once you're happy that the plane's okay and that you haven't found any major damage anywhere on the aeroplane, then it's time to check that all the surfaces work when you turn your transmitter on. So remember the routine, safety first. The transmitter must be turned on first. So once your peg is on the board, you can then turn your transmitter on and find the correct model. So we're just going to wait for the transmitter to turn on. Once your transmitter's on and working, then the next step is to turn the plane on. So you've got to find the switch and turn the plane on. So now we're looking for them to connect and the surfaces should all move. So the next thing you need to check is that all the surfaces move in the correct direction. So if you turn right, hold right down and it works okay. Hold left and the left aileron goes up, so that's okay as well. Make sure to check the elevator and the rudder surfaces as well. As soon as you're happy that all the surfaces are going the right way, that's fantastic. Turn your model off and then turn your transmitter off. So they were your main safety checks that you need to look out for before you fly and once you've landed and you've brought your model back to the pits area. Do make sure you do those safety checks every time you fly and every time you get to your flying site, because safety is really important with this hobby. So just check everything over and remember that when you transport your model as well, it's really easy for models to get damaged in the car. So check your model before you get in the car and then definitely check your model after it's been in the car. Even if you're coming home and putting the model in the garage or wherever you store your model, do check it over because it's very easy for things to get knocked. And this is what the safety checks are supposed to find anyway. But extra little checks when you're not on the flying site will also ensure that your model is okay and that you are a safe flyer.